Hi, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Double Stuff podcast, where we're double the host, double the fun, and double the topics. And Dan, we need to know what those topics are for this week.
But who are we?
But who are we, Alan? Who do we need to introduce ourselves?
No. Watch this. We're double the host, double the topics, and double the fun. And I'm Alan.
I'm Dan.
I'm Sarah.
And I'm Charity.
And Dan, what are those topics that we're going to be listening to this week?
Today? Let me reach into my old magic hat that is full of so many topics today and pull out this one at random. Midwest Nice.
Oh,
is the
okay.
first topic.
Oh, lovely.
That's me.
And to go along with that, it is the anti-bucket list.
Anti-bucket list.
Anti-bucket
Oh.
list.
Things
That
you
sounds
don't want to do.
Things
Yeah.
you don't want to do. Okay. All right. Well, Dan, do you want to start off with Midwest Nice?
I don't
You're
even know
the
what-
prototypical Midwesterner.
I am.
I think so.
I'm the prototypical Midwesterner.
I think so. Every
probably
time I see
all
you are in a great mood. It seems that way.
Do we need to get a second opinion from
Yeah.
Sally?
Maybe so. No,
Yeah,
maybe
man.
so.
Yeah.
I think so. Is
I
there,
think-
okay, so I think we have to define Midwest
Well,
Nice
okay,
first, right?
okay. So first layer of Midwest Nice, because this comes in like many layers and then it gets
Yeah.
dark, right?
Yeah, I didn't realize that there was so many specifics.
Yeah. But the first layer of Midwest Nice is you got like a pleasant, like, hey, how's it going? You know, kind of a
Yeah.
thing. And I do associate that with you. What do you think?
Yeah, I think I try to always be cheerful or at least pleasant.
I
Pleasant.
think part of that is the fact that you would actually say that to someone versus like other places in the U.S. You don't. You might make eye contact or give a nod, but like if you're like, "Hey, how's it going?" They'll give
Yeah.
you this look like, "Why are you
Well,
talking?"
why are you talking
Yeah.
to me?
Versus Midwest, that's a very common
Yeah,
thing.
well,
I guess.
or when somebody holds a door open
Oh, yeah.
for me, like at QT or whatever, and I'm like, "Hey, thanks, bud,"
Yep.
you know,
Yeah.
that kind of a thing,
Absolutely.
or they give it to me if I'm holding the door open or something.
Mhm.
Which apparently is kind of a weird thing, like that people point out.
That's
now.
I think
That
that's
you
it
hold
with
open the door?
with Midwest Nice.
Yeah.
It is for everybody outside the Midwest, like
Yeah,
like
it
they
seems
say
it's
it's,
an oddity.
but it tends to have like that would be. So when I hear Midwest Nice, I hear it as a pleasantry, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't think that that's what this topic is
Well,
meaning, or
I
right?
think,
or
I think
in
it's
the
just
layers.
maybe just giving our opinions.
Okay.
Yeah. What are the other layers? You were listing the first one, so what's the other layer?
Well, so when you start like throwing in different layers of like shade to it, like
It's like a passive aggressive.
it's very passive aggressive, and it's bottling up instead of just letting if somebody is giving you grief, and it's you know what, you go have the day you deserve or something like that, you know, that kind of a thing. Yeah. It's not a F you, buddy, or something like that.
You're sort of like hiding, like couching your real feelings in
Yeah.
like a mask of pleasantness.
See, but
Right.
I feel like that's Southern.
Yeah.
That's like saying, "Oh,
So
bless
the
your heart." Like that's what that is, but that's not Midwest. That's Southern.
yeah.
It's what I understand.
Well, I think the other thing they were saying, kind of like what you were referring to, is either passive aggressive or like they're not really confrontational. Like if something starts to arise, they'll either start to kind of back up or like, okay, I don't want to really be in this squabble that's
Right.
going on. But I guess it just depends on the situation, right?
Yeah.
You know, and I'm assuming the type of nice. I think it's also generational too.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, and it also goes into in that sort of couching it or putting it down. You're having a conversation with your friends like we're doing right now. Somebody who we've all just perhaps don't like plops down at the table. We're not going to tell them, "Hey, beat it, kid," or something like that. We're just going to be quiet all of a
Right.
sudden, you
Yeah,
know,
and awkward about
and
it.
awkward about it, and then
And change the subject.
and change the
Yeah.
subject until they leave. You
and
know,
then we're like, "Let's talk about it."
Yeah. So
and
this
then,
point, it's like,
can
oh,
you believe the
Like, I thought- the
audacity?
The audacity.
I thought he'd never leave.
Yeah,
I will say that
unbelievable.
like coming from a family that's not from Kansas, right? And growing up here, I do tend to act a certain way when I go back to like places like New York or like when we're in Florida, in a way that seems like I'm told like, "Oh, you don't want to do that," and it's just like, no, I can be nice to people.
yeah,
People just because they're from like a big city like New York doesn't mean they're just like angry, mean people all the time. Like people appreciate niceness no matter
Yeah.
where it's at,
Right.
even if if it is like kind of weird or whatever, like
Right.
waving
Yeah.
somebody in, like when you're driving or whatever,
Mhm.
to keep
Yeah.
the traffic flowing, whatever the case is. I don't know. It seems
Yeah.
like a very common thing, but yeah, I guess you're right. It is kind of uncommon.
I
or
think
outside
I
of the
associate it
Midwest.
with small town and almost like a naive kind of. I know we've joked around about Hallmark movies before, but you have the big city lawyer who
Mhm.
goes back to her father's apple orchard that's about to go down. Like it's always going to that small town and it's a simple life. And, oh, you haven't heard or you don't have this over here, and almost that naive, like we're in our little bubble sort of thing.
Right.
I almost sort of consider that Midwest nice. Because to be fair, in those movies and in those small towns, sometimes
Everybody knows everybody too, so it's like
everybody's
a personal,
very
Yeah.
common with each other.
So you have to keep some sort of a social currency going
Yeah.
yeah,
because you're going to interact with that person again at
Yeah.
some point.
everybody knows each other. They know your
That's
kids.
a
They
good
know your
point.
grandkids.
One of the
you
things
know.
I've noticed when I go back home, people don't do as often, but used to do all the time, is when you're driving, the 2-finger wave. Like if you were driving, like you drive, you're passing somebody or whatever, and you got your hand on
Just
the steering,
lift-
you just like lift your finger,
Yeah.
so it's like a little wave or like a nod or
Yeah.
something like that. People don't do that as often anymore.
I,
That's
I
just the
still
one
do
finger
that.
wave. Is that what
You
The
still
one,
get it?
the one selected finger wave.
Well, it used to be you don't see this at all anymore, but I can remember growing up, you'd shoot people. You
You're like, hey.
you give them finger
Yeah.
guns while you're driving. You don't see that anymore,
Well-
probably for good reason.
well,
but
I, I think in schools though, like they said not to do that. So like,
Yeah.
it's not that hey, people
I think
don't
it's
do it
been
anymore. They were told
conditioned
not to.
out.
Yeah.
We banned
Of
finger
doing-
guns.
We
Yeah.
got finger guns.
yeah,
Like, hey, that thing's loaded. but then you have just common courtesy
hmm
that you should just have anyway, regardless of what part of the world you live in. So I mean, I guess when I didn't even know that was a thing, the whole Midwest nice phrase. I didn't know that honestly until maybe 5 years ago. So I'm really late to the game in terms of that terminology. I just thought it was just being nice to people
yeah,
until somebody did a whole video like, I don't like people calling us Midwest nice because it means blah, 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 blah. So I guess they were just listing their grievances about it.
yeah,
And
I want to be rude. God
Yeah.
darn it.
yeah.
no, I guess it's the part that I guess from maybe where they're from, then they came here. So maybe they're not used to having that kind of interaction, but then maybe they took it more of a, kind of like we talked about the passive aggressive stance.
Being a pushover almost, like
Yeah.
people could be rude to you, but you have to be nice back. Sort of like
Yeah.
retail. You're
Yeah.
a cashier and a Karen comes in and yells at you and you have to smile and say, "Have a nice day." Like
Mhm.
that's almost kind of what I think about a little bit with Midwest nice. Like you can't retaliate
Yeah.
because you're
yelled
not
at.
from New York or whatever.
Yeah.
I got yelled at once. I call so many people sir, and
Uh-huh.
not like in a deferential way
Yeah,
or
just,
whatever.
"Thank you,
Just
sir."
like, hey, sir.
Just generic,
How's it going?"
yeah.
Or,
Yeah.
anything like that. And when I was working retail, like, somebody yelled at me. They're like, "Don't call me sir," and I was just like,
Like,
"Oh,
yeah,
okay,
don't
okay."
treat me with respect.
But I do it so unconsciously that I
Right,
kept
right.
doing that.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm sorry, sir. I won't call you sir anymore,
Sir,
sir.
sir, 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 sir.
So, what's wrong with me?
It's like I'm sure that made the situation
Yeah.
so much worse.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's I think another part of Midwest nice that my wife has pointed out is that it seems that in the Midwest you meet somebody instantly, they're a potential friend. I'm going to tell you everything that there is to know about me, and
Okay, yeah, that's
there's
that's
a
the
lot
other
of
extreme.
oversharing. And now I don't do that.
I
I
don't
don't
do that.
think I do that, but I mean, I do agree with her that there are a lot of people in the Midwest that would like for you to know everything about them
Yes.
and their family and everything. And you're just like,
They're like
we just
overly
met,
social.
buddy, and I just asked you to pass the peas, or something like that, or pass the butter.
And then it turns into my wife left me and and I'm like, oh my gosh.
No,
it's turning
okay,
into a
but
soap
as a
opera.
cashier, you actually get that. It's like mini
Yeah.
therapy sessions. I had
Yeah.
a woman
I've gotten that
break
too.
down and cry in front of
Oh
me,
my
and
gosh,
I'm like,
what do you do?
I just want you to check out, lady.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I can't fix it.
Yeah,
just give me your money and
Yeah.
take your bag.
That's
Here's
right.
your butter.
Yeah.
Have a good day.
Exactly. Exactly.
Actually, that was something that me and Charity used to get when we were sister secretaries at the job we used to do. It turned into like a psychiatrist session. They would just come to the front desk and just, you know what my husband said to me? And I'm like,
I didn't ask.
I didn't.
I'm trying
No,
to
and
fill
I
out the
worked with
database.
Yeah, I
Like,
know.
I'm not.
Yeah, exactly.
So I guess it's one of those, you got to have a good balance.
Yeah.
I think that's the part of me that's not Midwest nice though, because like 9 times out of 10, I don't really want anyone to talk to me. And I know that comes off as me being rude, but like that's why I don't know how to handle people that can't do social cues. Because if I'm like, okay, well, that's great. That's great. Like if I'm giving you those verbal cues of, okay, wrap up the story, or if I'm jingling my keys and heading towards the door and you're still talking to me, I'm like,
the followers
do you not get it?
or the lingerers.
Follow you to the door.
That is awkward. It's like you are clearly moving to the back of the sanctuary and towards the door of the church. I'm done talking to you.
It's time to go. Or if you're like, if you're talking to me and you don't really have anything to say, like, and then I ate a cupcake. Oh, and then I went, and kids are like that a lot. They just keep talking and talking, and I'm like, what do I do with you? I can't. I'm sorry. And I guess that makes me a bit socially awkward because I don't know how to handle a socially awkward person. So I don't know that. That's just, I've struggled with that for a long time, not wanting to talk to people because of that.
Yeah,
I get that.
You just sprint. You just
I have avoided people. There's some people where I'm like, oh my gosh, if I start a conversation with them, we're going to be here for 15, 20 minutes. And I just like become invisible. Yeah, I'm like, I'm just gonna sit in the bathroom for like 5 minutes and then she'll walk away and maybe she won't be outside.
So
I think
on your
think of this thing, like this Midwest nice thing, I think the one thing I think of more than anything is just basic like please, thank you,
the manners,
manners.
Basic manners,
but to everybody. So like a serve, because like I'll go to a restaurant or I'll eat with people, and they open up the menu, server comes over like, what can I get you? And it's just like, I'll have this steak, or just like that, and it's just like, can you throw a please in there?
Yeah.
Gonna kill you.
It's
say
not
thank
hard.
you to like the person that's taking your order at the Taco Bell. Have a good day.
Exactly.
It's not hard. Yeah,
it isn't hard.
I like joking around with the cashier. They may like it, they may not, but at least I get a little chuckle out of it. It kind of beats that'll be $3.95, and then we just walk away.
I like doing that for as long as it takes to actually finish the transaction. If I'm holding it up, if I'm like making the transaction or like the whole thing go longer, then I'm just like, okay, I gotta get out of here because this person's got stuff to do.
That's right. That's
just better than just standing there in silence, just like
somber.
All right.
Give me my stuff.
Well, in switching gears to our second topic, one of the things that is probably on Charity's anti-bucket list is to sit around and listen to people that you don't want to listen to. So, Charity, what would be something on your anti-bucket list?
Was I understanding that correctly? Is that things that you don't want to do?
Something you don't want to do. That you have no interest in doing. That if you found yourself in the presence of, this is something that you're going to do, and you'd be like, you know what? I could go the rest of my life and never do this.
Not doing it.
Yeah.
I feel like eating certain things would probably go on that list, and that is kind of vague, but I was talking
like cauliflower, for example.
Oh, gross. No, but I was talking to a friend. I was like, the nice thing about being an adult, if I wanted to have chocolate sundaes for dinner every night, I could go do that. Now I'd be sick, and obviously you don't want to do that, but like, there's some foods that I eat all the time and I never get tired of it, and there's other foods where people are like, hey, let's go out for Italian. I'm just like, because I don't like pasta, so I'll never purposefully go eat Italian. So like, there's some things, if I could just avoid certain foods, I would be happy.
Okay.
Or even weird stuff. Like, I'm not going to go eat tarantula legs or something. Like, I would avoid that too.
That's kind of what I was thinking about too when Dan pulled this topic out, like the exotic stuff. Like every once in a while, and I love watching these videos, but I'm just like, why would you do this? Why would you ever want to go on safari when David Attenborough did such a good job showing you up close and personal a safari, and then to like taunt the animals or like lure the animals to the vehicle?
So it's
like hey, there's food on wheels.
So if there was ever a chance for a safari, I would probably say, what else is available on that day as well? Or if we did, I would certainly not want to be a member of a safari where you got the
you don't want to be Meals on Wheels.
You don't want the guy to be like, we're going to see the lion and I'm going to go and run with him or something like what are you talking about?
You're like, that's the last thing he ever
this
said.
Might be your bucket list, but it is not mine. This is not mine.
Well, also in general, in that scenario, it's hot. Like we were just talking about here in Wichita, walking from the car to the studio, it's like, oh, it's kind of hot and we're sweating.
And in context, it's like 105.
It is really really
Yeah, it's
hot
hot.
outside.
but not
but,
like Africa.
yeah,
heat.
if you're
Yeah.
going in safari and like there's mosquitoes and like
Oh,
you
the
know,
bugs are pretty big.
yeah, like I'm not
Yeah.
trying to get eaten up by mosquitoes and be itchy and gross and be sweaty, which then attracts more mosquitoes. And you're just sitting there miserable, and you're like, "Why did I sign up for this
Yeah.
trip?
When the bugs are big enough
Yeah.
to be a mode of transportation,
Yeah.
It's time to go."
it's time to. I'm like, yeah, I drove my mosquito to work today
Well,
because the
let's-
traffic was
Well,
terrible.
let's think about this. So, like, let's think about like typical bucket lists, and then let's see
Mhm.
if
Yeah.
would that be on your list or not. So, like skydiving, Dan, would that be on yours?
I used to want to. I don't think I would anymore, though.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, I figured. I think a long time ago, I figured that. Well, I like flying, so like being in the plane is perfectly fine. Don't need to really jump
Yeah.
out of that.
Okay.
And also, like, even if the chances are like 1 in 100 that something goes wrong, right?
There's
Okay.
still a
Somebody's gotta be
chance.
that one.
There's always
yeah,
one.
that's right.
That's why you sign all those waivers
That's
and stuff
right.
before you do
That's
it.
right.
Something along those lines. But Sarah, would you ever like do like the mountain to mountain over rainforest zip lining?
Zip lining, no, but I would like to do the more safer route, which
Okay.
is
Cable car.
yeah, the cable car.
Oh, like the gondola or the
Mm.
what's
The
that?
gondola is the boat on the
Yeah,
unless they
what am I
have-
thinking?
Gondola,
They
air
do?
gondolas.
Air gondola.
yeah,
Yeah,
the skyline or whatever it's called. Where
I
like
think that's the gondola.
yeah, and it's like
I think zip lines would be fun though.
Yeah.
I do a zip
I
line.
think-
I thought you were gonna bring up those like rickety bridges that you've seen pictures of.
Oh,
walking
no.
across. I was like, I wouldn't do the bridge, but I'd zip line.
Well, that would be more of like bungee jumping. Would you do a bridge bungee jump?
I would.
And I'm
I-
directing this one to you, Charity.
Yes, I would at a certain height. I think if it got to the point where I was like, nah, this is too high. But like I've seen those at like carnivals, you know, you do like a bungee jump, or
Uh-huh.
I've seen it like off of a bridge or something. That bungee jump I would do. But if you're like, hey, let's go up to Kilimanjaro and jump all the way down, like
Right.
no, that's too high.
That require you having to climb all the way up though. That's a whole mountain
Yeah.
climbing. I love mountains, but from afar.
Oh, I wouldn't
Okay.
mountain climb at all. You know,
Yeah, there's too many.
too many mountains.
I've watched enough cartoons. I know what happened to Wile E. Coyote whenever he tries to do
Okay.
that. And I
Well,
feel
let's
like
think-
that could also happen in human
Let's
life.
think of like an environment that wouldn't be in the air. So going back to Dan, what about scuba diving?
Yes, I'd love to do
Ooh.
scuba diving.
Yeah?
it's something I actually want to do already. So
Okay.
yeah, that was
Where
definitely
would you
on
go
there.
if
So,
you wanted to?
anywhere that's available, but like ocean
Yeah.
stuff, especially things with like that would have like wrecks to like scuba dive around and stuff. That'd
Okay.
be super fun. I'd love to do that.
That would be cool. I've never done. I have scuba dive, but yeah, to do a boat wreck, that would be really cool.
right?
There
Yeah.
is a girl I know that's I forgot what her title is, but she's an archaeologist, and that was what she used to do.
Okay.
And she would go to various places around the world and check out like abandoned, or I guess seemingly abandoned, like ships and wrecks from a few hundred years ago, and you're able to still get some of that stuff. So I mean, the thought of that. See, I'm for me, I still like knowing that if I can touch the bottom of the pool, I'm okay.
Mm-hmm.
Can't do that with the ocean.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm just
why-
not realizing.
Well, you can, but it might be tough to
It's-
make it back up.
That's why you have the scuba gear.
I'm just not realizing that scuba diving is on my anti-bucket list. I don't want to be in the
Okay.
water.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds terrifying. Even I know you got your little oxygen
Right.
tank and your flippers and you can swim. Nope. Nope. I'm not
Okay.
getting in the water.
All right. Well, what about we talked about a little bit. You had talked about Sarah mountains and stuff. What about this, Charity? Would you do a hike or an expedition up a mountain?
Nope, I hate hiking.
Okay.
Yeah.
All
Because
right.
that's also I don't like being outside.
I mean, Charity hates it just going from the building to the parking lot, so
Yeah.
you're just gonna do that
You
even
like
farther.
to read about the expeditions and the
Yes,
adventures.
and I can read about someone else getting stuck in the woods.
Well, what about this? This is often on a bucket list. What about writing a memoir or something like that? Do you have any interest in doing that?
As long as it doesn't involve outside, I guess.
Yeah, that is an inside activity.
I mean, I guess
It meets that qualification.
I feel like if I had something worth of interest that people would actually want to read, then maybe. But for now, I feel like if I wrote it,
Well, it would
like,
be for like, prosperity, for just for the family and everything.
well, they already know they lived it. I don't
Oh,
know if they-
okay.
I mean,
So not a
mean-
bucket list
I mean,
item for you.
if I did something that was like really cool and noteworthy and world peace or solve the problem for cancer or something, then I'd be like, yes, let's write this down. But up to this point in my life now, I don't think it's interesting enough that anyone would care to go back and read about my life.
Yeah.
But I'm sure a lot of people in history
Okay.
have probably said the same thing. We're like, man, you had the best life. I wish I lived in 1935, whatever. I guess everybody has that where they think that their life isn't as significant enough to make a movie or a book or
along
something
those
like
lines, and it is actually a part of some people's bucket list, but I'll ask you this, Sarah. Would you want to be a part of change? There are people that like join up in conflicts and things like that, whether it be
that's a deep question.
Doesn't necessarily mean that you have to be a front line, but be a part of helping get supplies, helping medical aid,
Red
and
Cross
things
or
like
Peace
that.
Corps,
Peace Corps,
Okay.
something like that. Is that something that would be on your bucket list as
Like-
an agent of your participation in an agent of change for a belief or a cause?
Like going
that
out
you
of the
wanna-
country to do something like
Yes,
that?
yeah.
I don't know about going out of the country. Like, if I was, I would probably still stay at home base and see what I could do here, unless, like, the desire just really enhances on, like, I gotta get out and do it.
Okay.
So right now, if I was to do something like that, yeah, I can't see myself leaving the United States. At least not at the time of this recording.
Okay.
So, because it's one of those never say never, right? Just when you
Sure.
say it's not, and then all of a sudden, well, Sarah's off to Budapest or
Right,
something.
exactly.
So yeah, I think I'd probably just stay here for the
It
time.
wouldn't be on yours. But Dan, you brought up the Red Cross. Is that something that you had thought of at
Yeah.
some point?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I've thought of those things. Like my wife and I looked at doing the Peace Corps at one point, but it's hard. We, had responsibilities and things like that at the time, so we weren't able to make it work. But yeah, I mean, I think so. Yeah, that would be a lot of fun to do.
Yeah.
Something like that. I was thinking about like travel because I like to travel a lot,
Right.
and I was trying to think if there's like places that I wouldn't want to necessarily travel to.
Oh, there you go.
And this is like a really random one, but I've never had any interest in like Mount Rushmore. Like I
Okay.
want to see like
Oh,
the
that's
Badlands.
local.
I want to see like all that stuff, but
I
like
would really-
it's on like a lot of people's lists for like
Yeah, I
travel
would
stuff
like to
around
do
here,
that.
and it's just not something I've ever had any interest. I like the region. I think like the area would be cool to visit, but the actual mountain itself, I'm like, no, I could do without.
Interesting.
kind of an underwhelming thing. Like you go there and like,
think
oh, okay,
so.
I do believe those are presidents on a mountain.
I just think there's like so many like places, and I was just like, no, I think I'd rather go someplace else.
Well, I'll
Well,
disagree on that.
I feel like Dan, as much as he travels, he probably like to go to off the beaten path and go to the places not as touristy.
That would be a lot of fun. Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
he's probably more of like, you get with the locals and be like, what do you like to go to
It
versus
could be.
versus
yeah.
like the stuff that we always see on TV and on calendars and stuff like that.
It
So-
could be. Well, that was interesting. If you have anything that you would like to find that isn't on our bucket list, Sarah's going to let you know where you can ask those questions.
Yeah, you can always get with us on social media. We're available on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube at Double Stuff Podcast. You can binge listen to all of our episodes on our website, which is doublestuffpod.com, and of course on Twitter at DoubleStuffP, and that's the letter P.